We continue with the story, and now it is time to know the houses that make up the entire Academy of Magic: Adler, Courage and Conviction; the house of our friends, Orca, Intelligence and Diligence; and finally Lang, Talent and Pride. That day our friends will have the first activity where they can interact with the students of the other houses. For this reason the director is a little worried to know how it will go, because MASH has very good friends, but in the other houses there are quite powerful and evil students. Already in the place MASH thinks that they will have a nice afternoon to camp, but obviously it's not about that. At that moment a new character arrives. A super noisy guy with a complex of protagonist, and apparently he doesn't like our friend very much because he considers him an extra. But his hate will be even bigger because Lemon arrives to cheer MASH up, and that's what he hates the most: the guys who steal the attention of the girls. That's why he entered the academy and then entered the agency to create a world without handsome guys. But of everything he said no one paid attention. Now the teacher explains how the test will be, and this is to kill these magical scorpions. For each one will be given a bronze coin. But if they finish with these that have a square stone on his forehead will be given a silver coin, and also explains that the scorpions with the stone on the forehead are not weak at all. Well, now the test begins. But another student appears who also doesn't like MASH, Silva. This time the reason is that the guy thinks that MASH feels superior to the rest, superior to him, and without wasting time he obeys our friend. But this time MASH seems to want to go seriously, although at the last minute the teacher stops them. Lance also recommends not to mess with him because the guy is a year older and has attacked many teachers and students, but for his talent with magic has not yet been expelled. All this doesn't really matter to our friend. What does matter to him is that his muffin is intact and ready to eat. Once inside the forest, Lance tells him that it is best that they are together all the time because he can get lost, and that would be a problem. But it's too late. MASH is lost. With whom he meets is Dot, who reminds him again that he is better, but MASH is tired of listening and gives him a good slap. At that moment they hear the scream of a girl asking for help. When she arrives to the place, Dot doesn't hesitate to do it, and with an attack she manages to defeat the guy who was bothering her. The girl thanks him and Dot falls in her charms. Although he tries to resist, it is impossible for him. Even when their knees touch, this is too much for Dot, and he enters in a trace of falling in love. But in that moment we realize that the girl is not really so nice. Because in reality she has used her magic to make him fall in love, and to continue with her plan it is her turn to make MASH fall in love. But when she does it she gets the surprise that our friend is not interested in her love. She even increases the spell to the maximum. But MASH is not affected. Basically MASH is not simple. Not being able to convince our friend, the girl starts her other part of the plan, which is to say that Silva is the one who forces her to do bad things, and if she doesn't do them he is going to punish her. This was more than enough for Dot to decide to look for him and finish him off, and he won't have to go very far because Silva arrives at the place and mocks them again for being weak. But before he can continue talking, Dot casts a spell followed by 2 super strong spells. But Silva is not weak either and manages to get away unscathed from his attacks to continue mocking them, and this time he gives a good blow to Dot. But because of this MASH's muffin falls to the ground. Silva, I'm sorry to tell you that's why MASH will give you the beating of your life. Meanwhile Lance is with the others. He is a little worried about MASH, but he doesn't think he will get into a fight with Silva. We go back to the guys. Dot knows it won't be easy to defeat Silva, but before he does anything the guy offers him a deal. If he manages to withstand 5 hits he will let the girl go and stop bothering her. Dot doesn't think much and accepts the offer. But Silva tells him that MASH must also take 5 hits. Dot knows that the one who got into that trouble was him. So he decides that he is going to take the hits of MASH. Well done Dot, I like you better already. Silva starts with the first hit and goes on. After the 10 hits the incredible Dot is still standing. He couldn't doubt the tears of a girl, but unfortunately not everything goes as one expects because in reality the girl was with Silva. All this was a plan to finish them off and rub their coins. Even the girl tells Dot that she would never be with a guy like him because for her he is the disgusting one. Silva's taunts continue, but MASH has decided that this has been enough. He accepts the offer of the 10 hits, and before Silva keeps hitting Dot he manages to stop him, and this time MASH is no longer playing. Silva attacks him with everything he has, but our friend shows him that he is not as weak as he thought. And in an epic scene, MASH tells him to show him the difference in power between the two, and if he can resist his third blow. Sylvia knows he is in a difficult situation, but at that moment a scorpion appears with a gold star on his forehead. This is the most powerful scorpion. MASH tells him that it is better to leave the fight because he starts to feel sorry for him. The girl starts to try to convince the boys that she has nothing to do with all this. MASH tells her that he understands her and not to worry because he treats boys the same as girls. After all this, the friends are finally together. Lemon is very worried about MASH, but she is also worried about Dot, who instantly falls in love with her. Also, because MASH has won 2 silver coins, she now has her first gold coin. Lance explains to her that from now on she must be more careful because the Lance house, which is made up of noble family, is stealing all the coins from the other houses, and that is why Silva picked a fight with him. The most powerful group of Lance is the group of students called Lupus. MASH doesn't even know which house he belongs to, but he remembers the moment in which the students were assigned. The one responsible for doing this was the great magical unicorn. He was happy with life assigning the houses to the students. But when MASH's turn came, he saw his mind and there were only muffins. The poor unicorn didn't know what to do, so he assigned him the Adler house. Now we are going to meet the Lupus group. The leader is a guy who likes dolls, and his power is to turn others into puppets. And remember that Lance warned MASH not to mess with them, because our friend got lost, and as usual he rips the door off and introduces himself to them. The Lupus leader asks him if he is the student who has won a gold coin and why he wants to be a divine visionary, and upon hearing that MASH's reason is to live a quiet life with his family, the guy tells him that it is a good reason, but it is not the right answer. The divine visionary is a chosen one by God, someone who must restore the order of life, which is that the weak must obey the powerful. But the only thing that MASH understood from all that speech was that he also wants to live a peaceful life. The guy asks for the gold coin, but MASH will not give it to him so easily. So he sends a puppet to attack him, which turns out to be Silva. Seeing that MASH is not just any guy, he sends a more powerful puppet and manages to take the coin from him. MASH knows that the best thing to do is to leave and take Silva to the infirmary. But first he tells him that no matter how strong he is, he will defeat him. The guy is a little surprised, and his surprise is even bigger when he realizes that the coin was actually a button on the puppet. But how MASH did this? Because when the coin was taken away, he removed a button from the puppet and exchanged it, and then recovered it. After taking Silva to the infirmary, MASH goes to his friends, and Lemon arrives to tell them that something is happening, and that is that the Lang house has been stealing all the coins of everyone, and the only one left is MASH's. So the boys know that the only way to solve this is to defeat them all. But first MASH has to fulfill the punishment for hitting the vice principal, which is to clean the houses of the owls. But they won't do it for long because 2 members of Lupus have arrived. The biggest one can make water portals, and the other one has control of these giant shuriken. The strong guy takes MASH while Lang stays fighting with the other one. The guy thinks Lang is weak because he doesn't attack him, but in reality he doesn't do it because he knows his sister would get mad if he hurts the owls. But after he manages to get them to safety, Lang attacks with everything he has and with a single blow manages to defeat him. Meanwhile, MASH is leaving in shock the other guy, who by the way can transform into a shark, and seeing that MASH can swim much faster than him decides to make his maximum transformation. But none of this matters because also with a single blow manages to defeat him. When he meets with Lang arrives another member of Loops. But he is strong, and although Lang tries to use magic, for some reason he cannot. MASH knows he cannot waste time and attacks him quickly, but the guy turns out to be even faster. The guy tells them he is in the place to rescue his companions. But soon they will see each other again. When he leaves the place, we see that MASH managed to damage his mask. But the most important thing is that he says that MASH is just like him, leaving us with the question. You know you helped me a lot by subscribing to the channel and giving me like the video. Believe me, I would appreciate it. My name is Alex, and see you tomorrow with a new story. With nothing more to say, good morning, afternoon or evening, bye bye.